Hi, welcome to You Didn't Get the Memo. I'm Gloria Bailey Ray, your host. I'm excited to bring you an exciting show. So look, don't dilly-dally. Go get your family members, call your friends up, tell them to tune in to You Didn't Get the Memo. We have with us in the studio a wonderful guest, L. Rebecca Connell, who is a licensed clinical social worker and also the founder of Center for Stress Reduction in Oakland, California. We're going to be talking about tonight nourish your mood. Now, that's really important because some of you somehow maybe not understand or realize the relationship that food has with your mood. And so what we're going to do is have Reba talk to us tonight about how you can nourish your mood. And we're going to go into a number of different things. So I'm going to tell you, you don't want to miss this. So make sure that you are tuned in, tuned up, got the volume ready. So Reba, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me, Gloria. It's a pleasure.
As I'm reading and doing some background work, I'm thinking, wow, you know what? I need to talk to you because it's actually true. When you're really in tune, there's a lot of things that I can eat or take in, and it makes me feel not so good. Other things make me feel, I'm just euphoric. And I'm talking just food. And then there's certain times that I can eat meat, and I'm thinking, wow, I feel horrible. So it was exciting to be able to have you come onto the show and to talk about, how if you change your food, you can change your mood. And so nourishing your mood by talking about food. So let's first of all get some of the particulars out of the way because people are wondering, well, who is Reba Connell? So
To talk about something like this that's so important, right?
So let's
who does she think she is?
Tell people a little bit about who you are,
Yes.
what you do, and I'm very curious in terms of how you even got into wanting to discuss and examining how food affects your mood.
Thank you so much. Those are all really good questions.
Okay.
And before I talk about myself, can I just say something I noticed about what you were saying?
Okay.
And we'll circle back to it maybe after the introduction,
Sure.
but maybe we can just bookmark it together.
All right.
So
Sounds
I
good.
noticed that you said, if you tune in.
Mm-hmm.
And that is so important, right? Because what I really believe as a mindfulness teacher is that each one of us is really our own best teacher and guide.
Right.
And there's a lot that we can become aware of through the lamp of our awareness, And so when you say, if you tune in, right, and we imagine ourselves really tuning in to that frequency where we're paying attention, there's a lot that is available to us without any kind of quote unquote experts or doctors, or teachers. And then you also said there are things that I notice that when I eat them, I feel really good, and other things that I eat them, I don't feel so well.
Right.
And sometimes it changes from time to time.
Right.
So there's impermanence or change. So those are two really good questions that any of our viewers can ask themselves, is just noticing, what do I notice that feels really good, and what do I notice that I don't feel so well?
Right.
So we can come back to those 3 points, but I just wanted to bookmark them for
Okay.
now because it sounds like a lot of wisdom coming from your side of the
Okay.
table just to start out.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's kind of fast forward into Reba Connell.
And who am I
And
and my
who you
connection
are?
with the work? Yes, thank you for asking. So as you mentioned, I'm a licensed clinical social worker, and my private practice is in Oakland, in the Rockridge neighborhood in California, in the United States. And so at Center for Stress Reduction, I'm working with people. In social work, we call it the biopsychosocial model, right? That means that we're taking into account all these different aspects of what makes us a human being,
Right.
and how we can be well and how we can run into difficulty, right? So there's in the bio, right, you're hearing there's a biological aspect and also psychological, right, what's inside of a person and our own emotions and our awareness, and social, right? We're looking at not only what's good for me, but also looking at larger groups of people and how our communities and globe can be well,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
So I went to Cal, UC Berkeley, right here
All right,
in
Cal
town.
Bears.
Go Bears, right?
Yeah.
And for social work school. And I knew at that time that I was fascinated by the mind-body connection and the ways that physical wellness can contribute to and give rise to emotional wellness, and the reverse is true. And so I actually was open to a lot of different forms of where I would get more training, and it didn't have to be the path that I ended up on, but this is one of the paths.
Right.
But I knew that that's what I wanted to do from the beginning. And so I've done a lot of different kinds of things in terms of community service and working in different community organizations. And then I also received training in mindfulness-based stress reduction, and I teach those classes as well, which is an international curriculum developed at University of Massachusetts Medical Center.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then you wanted to know how then did that lead into the whole question of food, right?
Absolutely.
So I remember there was a few years ago, I had the privilege of serving as a social worker in a federal health center here in the Bay Area, mostly serving the Spanish-speaking community. And I noticed that it seemed really intuitive to me that people were being given certain kinds of support from their doctors, and I thought, what if they were having more access to food, and to fresh food? What difference could that make for them and their anxiety and depression? So that was one time that I remember that really sparking up in my mind.
So when you think about, and when we talk about for a minute, as you said, it's bookmark this, but even the whole, it seems like for a minute, a hot minute, there was a lot of talk around food justice, right? And people not having access to fresh fruits, fresh vegetables. And therefore, of course, we know that obesity is at an all-time high. And even though, there was an article that I was recently reading where airlines are being sued because they have shrunk the size of the seats, and instead the human has actually, grown in size.
And so there's a poor fit.
Right.
Yeah.
And so when you think about that, and people really, I think a lot of times, if you really think about it, and I myself, as I started out saying, I know that certain things that I eat, I feel really good. I'm energetic. I just feel like I'm able to do everything. And then there are other things that I eat, and I just feel so sluggish. I don't feel good. And actually, I've said this to my husband at times. I feel like there's something fighting in my stomach, right?
That's
against
not a
each other.
feeling.
Absolutely. So,
Right.
and learning to stay away from that. But when you are cognizant of the food that you are eating, that you have access to, which I have to say to our viewers, look, there are community gardens, every pot, everything I can get my hands on, I'm throwing a plant or something in it, because it's also something therapeutic about being able to grow your food too.
It is, absolutely.
So I just find that when you do that, and I'm able to avoid those things that cause me to, because there is stress when I'm not feeling good. And when you're not at your best, then guess what? All these other things tend to happen as well. So when we talk about food justice, and I know that seemed to have been a hot button, as I was saying, for a while, I don't hear as much about it, but I still think that it's really prevalent, and especially given the state in the United States of the homeless population that we have, and people not being able to get good, fresh, healthy food. And that is important. Also, with that, one of the things that intrigued me about you was talking about the mental health of an individual when they aren't eating right, and they're taking in those foods that really aren't good for them. And what's most amazing, you asked me before the show started if I had food allergies, and I said, well, no, not to my knowledge. And I actually have had allergy testing, but think about all the people who don't know that they have food allergies, and they still continue to eat those things that make them feel bad, break out, and it really does have an effect on them. So with that, you being able to empower people and talk about how you can actually use food to actually nourish their bodies, nourish their mind. And you talk about mind, body, spirit, that's really important, and they are all interconnected. So I know I'm saying a lot, but
No, everything you're saying, I'm just, in your
yeah,
amen
you're
corner
just
over here.
saying,
Yeah, yeah.
raise the roof
So,
on that.
yeah.
Okay.
So,